Hello, welcome back to another stream from Tachyon Lance. Today we're going to be having a look at a few builds that have been sent through from some comments that have been made, some suggestions to some of my previous videos. This fleet composition comes from Kingfisher. So this fleet makeup here to challenge the Devastator cruisers that we've got that have been pretty successful at holding off most fleet types, unless we have a really strong direct counter for it. This fleet is a mix of kinetic artillery, plasma, whirlwind missiles. It was suggested to put some marauder missiles in here, but marauder missiles can only go in small slots, so there's no small slots on the battleship without using the carrier core. So I didn't really want to have to use that at this stage. A mix of armor, shields, and we've gone with afterburners with artillery computer. Then we've got some point defense destroyers. So we've got 3 PD, 2 marauder missiles for long range attack with artillery computers. So hopefully they stick around close to the battleships and provide point defense against all those incoming Devastator torpedoes and missiles, and a standard complement of armor and shields. Then we've got the general purpose destroyer, which has got medium plasma, 2 autocannons, a PD and flak for more missiles to destroy missiles and torpedoes. Same with the armor. This one's a picket computer, so it will go in closer and try and run interference for those cruisers. So the general purpose destroyer should go in close, destroying some of the torpedoes and missiles that are probably getting aimed, well, particularly the missiles getting aimed at the larger ships. And then hopefully the second line of destroyers can intercept anything that gets through. Hopefully, we'll have to see. Alright, let's find out and see how this composition goes. It is 41 destroyers and 11 battleships. To show you the fleet that's there. So 11 battleships, 20 PD destroyers and 20 general purpose destroyers versus 42 cruisers. Let's see what happens.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Kinetic artillery opening up. The destroyers are taking a lot of damage. All those early destroyers that ran in. They're holding up though. They've taken out a few cruisers. Just slow this down, see what's happening. Yeah, they've lost a few cruisers now. Let's see the damage. Yeah, Devastator torpedoes are still doing a lot of damage. They must be hitting those destroyers. Kinetic artillery, large plasma. So yeah, they are doing their damage. What was the point defense? Guardian point defense 50. Flak 38. Guardian point defense 302. So yeah, Devastator torpedoes are doing a lot of damage to the destroyers there. Large plasmas are getting the cruisers. Whirlwind missiles, probably from both sides. Marauder missiles. And the kinetic, yeah, hammering the kinetic weapons, hammering the shields. It's pretty even so far. To see if the cruisers can pull through. There's one battleship down. I don't think I think the cruisers are going to win. Those destroyers just can't do enough damage. Now they're onto the battleships. Yeah, a convincing win there. They left with 30 odd K. So that didn't work. I think one of the reasons why it didn't work was because with the destroyer designs, and I found this as well trying to do it with cruisers, doing too much point defense actually detracts from the overall firepower of the fleet, and you're just not able to do enough damage. Whereas they're still firing those Devastator torpedoes and they're doing still a lot of damage, even though it's against a destroyer. They're still going to be doing well, if it's 500% versus a battleship, you'd think it'd be 400% versus a cruiser, maybe 300% versus a destroyer, 200% versus another frigate, and 100 just standard for a corvette. You'd think that's the way it works. So it's probably just too much point defense in this fleet. You probably have to go with something like maybe another. Well, they've still got shields, so you still got to get through the shields. So plasma, till those shields are down. Maybe I'd probably opt for disruptor personally, because that's going to go straight through and do damage to the cruiser's hull. Stick in some disruptors, those close range ships. These guys can pepperate the shields. The other guys are firing at the battleships are firing at the shields as well. Plus you've got missiles coming in to do damage. This has got a lot on corvettes. I like using disruptors on corvettes. So, sorry Kingfisher, that build didn't really work. I think that's because the amount of point defense on that fleet. Unless I got your comments wrong, but it's probably we'll probably have to take out some of those point defenses, add in more offensive firepower. All right, I'll look at someone else's comments. Okay, this suggestion came from Peter Wood. So we're running with battleships which have all armor and shield penetration weapons. The arc emitter, which goes through pretty much everything to hit the hull, and then we've got the cloud lightning, which does the same thing, just on a smaller scale. Now, I wasn't really testing niche weapons, as the cloud lightning, not everyone can get access to it in a game. So, but we'll test it for this purpose because it has been suggested. So let's give it a whirl. It's mostly to see how this goes against with the shield hardening and armor hardening on the cruisers. Because I've just added in some. You can't really see the picture. The armor hardening, the shield hardener was already there, but the armor was not. So we will see how it goes. Cloud lightning and the shield penetration weapons in this battle. Couple cruisers down straight away. The battleships are just running. Look at them running in all directions. Cruisers are trying to close range. Look at that battleship armor going down. The hulls, cruiser hulls is going down. Yeah, let's just look at that. It's not looking good for the battleships. Let's just look at the damage that's being dealt here. Your Devastator Torps doing a lot. Focused Arc Emitter about half as mount. Cloud Lightning less, and that's to the hull. Look at that armor damage from Devastator Torpedoes. Wow, 79,000. Arc Emitter's not even close. Cloud Lightning, nah. Yeah, so it's just the Devastator Torpedoes are just utterly devastating against battleships. When they get close enough, it's all over. Pretty much doesn't matter what the battleships have on them. Yeah, so that doesn't work. The only way to stop these cruisers is with the screening ships. I think with you need almost, well, you probably need at least you're going to need 20 cruisers at least. Maybe you can't stop it with a battleship fleet. I would say maybe just go with cruisers and destroyers. That might be the best bet to hunt these down, because if someone's using Devastator Torpedoes, the damage dealt out is just horrendous. Oh, we saw that. That was a pretty convincing win. Okay, this design comes from SC Kamiga, if I've pronounced that right. Sorry if I haven't. What we've got here is a cruiser carrier version. So we've got the strike craft, we've got energy torpedoes for that long range attack, we've got the missiles to also do long range attack and go through the shields. Energy torpedoes will they'll impact the shields, but eventually they get through, hopefully. The strike craft also have shield penetration and going straight to the armor and hull. And we've got a bit of flak and point defense to try and intercept some of those missiles and torpedoes. Now this is the same cruiser design we've got here. Devastator torpedoes. This is running a carrier computer. We thought we'd try and keep it at maximum range and see how the battle goes. Give them as much chance to fire off their long range weapons and strike craft, and see if there's any change. Same number of ships, so it's a lot of cruisers versus cruisers. They're launching the strike craft. Now they're turning around, but look at it, strike craft are going in. Firing off their energy torpedoes. One cruiser down. So far it's relatively even. Those strike craft are doing quite well. Because there's so many targets to hit for the Devastator torpedoes. What planet? We've got one planet there, have we? Oh, this could be a defeat. Oh, they're doing really well. Yeah, they crushed it. Wow. I wasn't expecting that result. So there we go. We've got a counter. We've got a counter for the Devastator cruisers. So this did highly effective, actually. So strike craft, missiles, energy torpedoes, and a bit of flak and PD did the trick. So if you see if someone's coming at you with some torpedo cruisers in their fleet, put some of this design in your fleet. Let's put it up again. This seems to be a good counter for torpedo cruisers. At least one-on-one anyway. Not sure how it goes screening ships and other ships in the fleet. But I think what it was because the cruisers have, for their cost, they have a lot of hull, armor and shields. So you can have a lot of them, and the Devastator torpedoes fire so slowly that they just can't keep up that rate of fire for so many different targets. You're spreading the damage across so many ships. Against battleships, yeah, it's fine because there's a lot less of them, so they can focus fire more and actually kill them. But with these battleship, all these cruisers, the damage is spread amongst all the hit points of the fleet, and plus you've got PD in there working to minimise the damage as well. So yep, so well done, SG Kamiga. You got a winner with this one. Out of our 3 suggestions we've tried, this has been by far the most effective. So it pretty much seems to counter the cruiser, you need cruisers to counter it. But having said that, I don't think this fleet would be too effective if there was also a fleet of battleships here, or even destroyers. But anyway, they're tests for another time. That's a direct counter, one-on-one. So someone's running torpedo cruisers, at least with the Devastator torpedoes. That's a very effective counter. Okay, this build comes from No Man. So this is a little bit different. This is all destroyers, and this is the destroyer type. It's got mostly missiles with point defense. It's all armor with a bit of afterburner, running artillery computers. So trying to stay at a bit of range and firing off missiles while trying to intercept theirs. So it's pretty much more than 2-to-1 advantage in numbers. So I'll have to see if these torpedo cruisers can dish out damage to those smaller targets, which I'm not sure they will. Let's find out. See, the cruisers are trying to get into range. They're struggling. They've lost 2 cruisers already. Destroyers lost nothing. Can't even take a hit. Look at this. The destroyers are just too fast for them. Look, they're trying to chase these destroyers down here. They give up. Now they're going back over here. Meanwhile, they're getting pounded from all directions. Looking like another clear victory. Well, they lost 1 destroyer. They just don't have the range to fight these small ships like that. I think it's another case of you wouldn't use this fleet composition against a fleet of destroyers, the cruisers, torpedo cruisers. Not unless you're using energy torpedoes. Energy torpedoes would probably be far more effective. Yep, so you got a winner there, No Man. So that's a clear win for the destroyer fleet. Just being able to stay out of range and pepper away. So that's another good tactic you can use to fight off enemies. Alright, I'm going to try a energy torpedo cruiser build against this to see if we get a similar result or if it's a bit more even fight. Okay, so this time we've got the same destroyers that we were using before. That won the last battle convincingly. Only difference really is this time this fleet now using the energy torpedoes. It's also got a bit of target tracking rather than the afterburners. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so they're able to get away a lot more torpedoes at range. Doesn't appear like too many hit their targets. Yeah, destroyers are losing numbers here. The destroyers, they can't kite these ones due to the extended range. Still, numbers are on their side. Let's see the damage output. The neutron launchers are doing a lot of damage. And to the armor, yep. So that's where the energy torpedo is a bit more effective because it's all armor. But if you, I guess if you did go shields on the destroyers, it would change the outcome a fair bit, I think. It's going to get pretty close, I think. Armor's nearly down. The hulls are taking damage. It's a lot closer, but still, the destroyers have held the day by the look of it. Yep, the destroyers, even though they weren't optimised to fight energy weapons, because they are heavily armoured, you add a couple of shields in there and they'd probably save a chunk of these losses. But they lost over half their fleet versus that. So that's another good counter, going all destroyers against cruisers. So very effective, so good call, No Man. There's another build from No Man we're going to test in just a second with battleships. See if that's as good. Okay, so what we've got this time is we've got 21 battleships. This is the design. It's got whirlwind missiles with some PD, hangars, 3 lots of artillery and 2 lots of plasma. It's artillery range, all armour with afterburners. The idea is as well to try and stay out of that Devastator torpedo firing envelope, I guess. These are the Devastator torpedo cruisers, same as we've been using a lot. Let's see if which side wins. Battleship's still not fast enough to get away. Inflicting a fair bit of damage though. Cruisers are sort of pulling back, chasing a couple of lone battleships over here. Yep, looks like another victory. This one could be good with victory for the battleships. First one we've seen, I think. Yep, that's clear. That's the retreated fleet. Yep, so another good design. So I've seen now 3 counters how to fight cruiser torpedoes. So this has been a good bunch of designs from people. I particularly like that design because that was a good battleship design, which you could chuck in, you know, half a dozen of these in a fleet, because it's all right to say, all right, use 85 destroyers in a fleet, but if you come up against anything else other than torpedo cruisers, you're pretty much dead. So it's good to have a balance. You might have, and there's nothing that says you just have to have corvette, frigate, destroyer, cruiser, to battleship. You could have 10 different ship designs in there, multiple of each, to really balance out your fleets of different classes. So you might have 3 battleships like this, and 3 other types of battleships, and then 3 others, and then, you know, a couple classes of cruisers, different types, and so you've got a well-balanced mix of your whole fleet to counter a lot of different strategies. So I can see there's going to be in the multiplayer games, there's going to be a lot of designs and to and throws counters, and we're seeing a lot of the counters now, people coming up with really good designs. That's really good. So we've seen now, I think, four different fleets able to counter the torpedo cruisers. So there's a lot of different designs and strategies there. So I think that's been a successful run of videos. I think I'll leave it there so you guys can comment and make your own thoughts on designs and strategies. I think the next videos I'd like to focus more on the actual fleet compositions, different numbers of ships versus different numbers of ships and varieties of ships, and see how that works out, to try and see if we can come up with some good combat strategies with types of ships and numbers of ships. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Do hit that like button, and I'll see you again next time.